Welcome into the show, everybody. This is Breaking the Huddle. I'm Joel Klatt. The show, as always, brought to you by Dr. Pepper. It is the one fans deserve. Happy Thanksgiving week, everybody, and happy The Game week. A lot to get into. I got to get started right away because it's going to be a fast show. Let me talk about these college football playoff rankings that we got this week. Listen, there's some controversy, and to be quite honest with you, I've got one take and one take only. The committee, as it's currently constructed, and this ranking system is a failed experiment. And I think that that's pretty clear. They gave us Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, and TCU. I don't think anybody argues that. But then LSU over USC. LSU is 9-2. USC is 10-1. That's not the only problem. Part of the problem also is that this committee is clearly not looking at what happened in the last couple of weeks and evaluating as such. Remember, LSU did beat Alabama, and good for them. That was a great game. They beat them on that two-point conversion. Then they followed that up with a 3-point win against Arkansas the week after Arkansas lost to Liberty. Then LSU plays UAB. So I'm sorry, what? Why are we honoring them? Why are they staying there? It's clearly because the committee wants to honor their previous rankings or their previous notions about who these teams are rather than what we see actually on the field. In those same 2 weeks, by the way, USC pounded Colorado, and I get it, Colorado's not a great team right now, but then they followed that up with a win against UCLA on the road. And that UCLA team, by the way, beat two teams in the committee's own top 25, Washington and Utah. USC's also got the best player right now that I've seen in college football, and Caleb Williams, who in his last 5 games has taken college football by storm. So when things like this happen, it's pretty clear that college football fans are going to start to distrust the system. That's not good for anybody. And when we're rewarding teams and letting teams slide on things like 3-point wins against Arkansas and playing UAB in November, I think it's a bad message to send. So in some respects, the committee is not even doing their job. Please evaluate these teams on a weekly basis and give us some adjustment based on what's happening on the field. The last point that I will make is that these rankings seem to point towards Alabama being patient X. See, Alabama, we thought was going to be one of the best teams that we've ever seen in college football, one of the biggest betting favorites that we've ever seen in college football to start the season, but they aren't that team, okay? This Alabama team is not the 2020 Alabama team. In 2020, Alabama was a great team. And by the way, on this run under Nick Saban, they've been a great program. They're the preeminent program in college football. But this season, they're not what they have been. In fact, they've played 5 one-possession games. They're 3-2 in those possessions. Back in 2020, they played one possession game. So these wins over Bama probably shouldn't be carrying the day like they are currently for the College Football Playoff Committee. Please do your job. This committee is a failed experiment, and hopefully we get away from it as soon as possible. When we come back, I got to get into the game, folks. It's Thanksgiving week. Michigan and Ohio State, both 11-0. I'm breaking down both teams on the film next. All right, so let's get into these two teams, this epic clash, and I want to just break down some film and talk to you about what makes them great, how they tick, so on and so forth. Let's start with Ohio State, and we start with the fact that, this is an elite team, and we've known that all year long. You know, we thought that they were going to be elite, and they have been elite for most of the season. They're ranked number 2 right now in the country. Their offense has scored 40-plus points in 9 of the last 10 games. And their defense, and this is what we didn't know coming into the season, their defense has improved to the point where they're 10th right now in college football in terms of their scoring defense, giving up about 17 points per game. I've long said that, you have to have a top 25 defense if you want to win a national championship. Well, they didn't previous years. Now they do. So, how that translates to the playoff, we'll see. Let's take a look at kind of how they're built, what makes them special. Let's take a look at some film. Let's start with C.J. Stroud. Okay, so C.J. Stroud, when everything is right, this dude just kills defenses. Watch as he's going to attack this right side of the field against Michigan State, and watch how quickly he throws the ball off a play fake. He gets his head around, and then he throws the ball well before Marvin Harrison's out of his break, perfectly in stride. So that timing plus ball placement equals yards after the catch. Harrison runs through it for a touchdown. So that's easy, right? A lot of quarterbacks can play in rhythm. He does it a little better than most because of his accuracy, but it's also the fact that he's got the ability to play above the X's and O's. Let's take a look at the next clip of C.J. Stroud. All right, so watch as now Michigan State's going to kind of line up for a blitz look. And Stroud realizes he has one-on-one on the bottom. And now he's going to get a free rusher in his face. And watch as he even kind of drops back, fades away, and that's just arm. And he throws it. I mean, look at that throw. It's just over the shoulder to Marvin Harrison Jr., and he did that with a player in his face and kind of falling away. So that's the type of arm talent he has. Even when the defense is right, he can still make them wrong. So they've got a quarterback that plays really well, under the normal fundamentals of the X's and O's. Then he can go above the X's and O's when he needs to. All right, let's take a look at our next clip. This one is just Marvin Harrison on the ground here. We start looking at what Marvin Harrison can do for you on a one-on-one matchup. This is Penn State. By the way, this is a third down. As soon as that safety on the right side of your screen comes down, then Stroud knows he has one-on-one coverage with Harrison. That ball is going to Harrison. Watch his ability to fight, get separation, and then make the catch through contact. Right? This dude is just an elite player, and that's what makes them go. And it's always on third downs, right? When you get into an obvious passing situation, you have to double him because if he's single covered, he's going to separate. He's physical enough to separate if you're fighting with him, and then he's always going to make the contested catch. Let's take a look at another example, and this is also against Penn State. This is, again, another third down. It's 3rd and 10, and now they're trying to help Joey Porter Jr. with a safety over the top. Okay, so now the play kind of breaks down, but watch Harrison and his ability to get to the sticks and then stay past the line to gain, even through contact. So Harrison's going to get held right here. Fights away from Joey Porter Jr. Watch the strength. Fights away, then he comes kind of back to the ball, but still past the line to gain and makes a tough catch, even with Porter draped all over him. So he's held, then he's interfered with, still makes the catch. Why? Obvious passing downs. We're going to 18, right? Let's take another look at what else we've got for Marvin Harrison. Now we've got a 3rd down and 10. Okay, so Penn State's like, okay, well, now we're going to just have to play aggressive. Let's try to bring everybody and blitz C.J. Stroud. Well, watch Harrison and the nuance to know that his head is looking at the coverage right now and looking at these linebackers. He sees off coverage from the corner, and he just throws a little lookie right there. And then look at him knife the defense and get to the line to gain. That's a first-round corner he's going against. Okay, so he sees the blitz. He breaks off his route, a little lookie route. Then when he catches it, he turns directly upfield and knifes down in order to get the first down. The dude is really, really good. That's kind of what makes their offense tick. C.J. Stroud, Marvin Harrison Jr., yes, they'll run it a little bit, but that's really what makes them tick. I want to take a look now at their defense and why this Jim Knowles structure has been having a lot of success, and it has to do with confusion. The quarterback is confused a lot of the time because the pictures change. Okay, so let's take a look at 3 different plays from this defense. So first, you got to understand that you're always going to kind of have this 3 safety look, in particular on base downs. Now you're going to get the far safety. He's going to drop down into single coverage, which means you should have free access and an easy throw on the outside. So Petrus tries to take it. He throws it high, and he's like, oh, man, okay. As soon as I get another single safety, I know I'm going to have free access, right? Right? Well, nope. Here, let's take a look at the next clip. So now you've got the 3 safeties again. Now, a different safety is going to drop back as the single safety. So now you've got these 3 deep middle of the field, and the 2 guys that are furthest back are actually going to come down, but they're going to come down outside to take away that free access throw. So now they're not dropping inside, they're dropping outside. Petrus pumps the ball, and what happens? He's sacked because the look changed. But it's not just those base downs with the 3 safeties. They'll also heat you up when they need a play. When they need a play, watch what they'll do. They'll give you some confusion, and then they're going to come after you and come after the quarterback. So this next play, I believe it was against Rutgers, as it was. It's going to look as if it's just man-to-man, and they're going to be coming, right? And yes, that's the case, but they disguise it well enough that a guy that looks like he's in man coverage is actually the one that's going to loop around. They drop other guys out. So this guy's going to drop out. This guy's going to come into man coverage. See, you got this guy, so he's going to drop out. And now you've got 6 blitzers, and this looper is the one that the offensive line cannot identify, and boom, he hits the quarterback right in the face. So again, you've got all of this disguise on normal down, and for a quarterback, this is just difficult, okay? You've got to recognize what's going on post-snap based on what you see pre-snap, but what you see pre-snap is definitely not what's going on post-snap. So that's a little look at Ohio State and what makes them tick. When we come back, let's take a look at Michigan. What makes them tick? I will break down the Wolverines when we come back right here on Breaking the Huddle. All right, let's break down some Michigan now. I told you about Ohio State, what makes them tick. Well, let's talk about Michigan, all right? Well, they're ranked number 3 right now in college football. Their offense, top 10 in the country, scoring almost 40 points per game. And the Michigan defense is the only team in the country in the top 5 of college football on both rush and pass defense. This defense has actually gotten even better from a year ago, which a lot of people didn't think was possible, right? Because of that really good defense with Aiden Hutchinson, David Ajabo, Daxton Hill, and yet they have gotten a little bit better. I want to talk about their structure. I want to talk about Blake Corum, how he can play above the X's and O's. And then I also want to talk about J.J. McCarthy and what I think he needs to do in this matchup against Ohio State to be successful and for Michigan to be successful. Let me start with Blake Corum because he's their guy that is a Heisman-type guy. He is their guy that needs to play above the X's and O's. And he does that. Now, a lot depends on his health. So we will see how effective he is going to be in this game or if he even plays at all after that injury to Illinois. But what I'm going to show you is both an illustration of what he needs to do to be effective against Ohio State if he plays and what they would be missing if he doesn't, which we actually had a great case study in the second half of that Illinois game. Let's take a look at Blake Corum. Okay, so Blake Corum, this is against Penn State. Okay, so there's 7 guys in the run box for Penn State. There's 7 to block them. This is a foundational run, just an easy run. And when you only have 7 guys in there, watch out. Katie bar the door, as my coaches used to say, because this dude will make you pay. You block it for 6, he's going to take it the distance. And he does right there. And did you see the speed with which he hit the hole? That was because he saw there was 7. He knew that they were going to be blocked. And boom, he was like shot out of a cannon. He didn't have to wait. He didn't have to remain patient with a little slide step because he knew he had hats for hats and he could exploit it right away, and he did. Let's take a look at another play. All right, so this is where the defense is actually going to absolutely succeed here. Corum's just on a little wide stretch play over to the right side. They're pulling these linemen out in front, and Penn State's defense plays it well. This should be a tackle for loss. Abdul Carter has got him dead to rights in the backfield, but watch how strong he is. Arm tackle, runs right through it. Then there's another Penn State Nittany Lion. He steps by him. So what should have been a tackle for loss ends up being an explosive run for a first down. Okay, so if you block it properly, he takes it for a touchdown. If you don't block it properly, he's still succeeding to the tune of even an explosive rush. That's why he's so important to Michigan's run game, because he is the eraser of mistakes. Even when that great offensive line makes mistakes, and they will, even when it's a bad play call, which sometimes happens, he can still succeed, which puts your offense in second and short, gives you a first down, keeps you on schedule, right? So when you don't have Blake Corum, that's an issue, and a massive one because of the level of his game. Okay, so now the quarterback, J.J. McCarthy. Let's just say Corum is healthy, but maybe not 100%. So more of the pressure in the overall sense of it is going to fall on the quarterback. He's going to have to play better than what he has over the last 3 weeks. J.J. McCarthy was leading the country in completion percentage through, I think, 8 weeks of the season. Then in the last 3 weeks of the season, he's thrown for basically 50%. Okay, so regressing rather than progressing. And we would rather him be playing his best football, wouldn't we, Michigan fans? Is he? I don't know. Well, there's some small things that he can do that will raise his level of play. Let's take a look at those things, okay? So 3 things. Number 1, when you have an opportunity to hurt Ohio State, you got to take it. Okay, so this is an example from Maryland. He's got a wheel route out of the backfield, and they dial it up. It's a really good play call, and he's got him, right? If you take a look up there, that wheel route is wide open, but he's trying to force the ball to basically a pre-decided route. He's going to force it into double coverage to Andrell Anthony. It's like, well, just take the wheel route. Okay, so a lot of this is taking what they give you, But it's also like when they give you a big one, take it. You got to take it. You cannot pre-decide where the ball is going to go. You got to make adjustments post-snap, read it out, and allow your offense to succeed for you. So that's when something appears that could be a big play, he's got to take advantage of it. All right, next. Now we take a look at like a third down. These are critical moments. How do you maintain possession? You execute on third down, which means if you can get a third down by having a tight end as your first read right at the sticks, boom, the ball's got to go to him. Now, he doesn't hit him. He still has a wheel route wide open, and he still doesn't even throw that. So JJ's got to be ready to throw the ball. Okay, on third down, he has got to be ready to go. Number one, open, bam. If that's not one, no, two, yes, boom. Okay, so the sense of urgency in particular on a third down has to be there. You can't hold the ball, look for things, be undecided or have some indecision when you're trying to throw the ball on third down. And then lastly, when everything is taken away, you've got to either be your own check down or find your check down. Let's take a look at the last clip. Okay, so for JJ, he's going to get everything taken away. Now, this is in the red zone. What do you not want to do? You don't want to take a sack because they're in field goal range right here. Okay, so they're going to try to stretch the field and run some of these vertical seam routes right down the middle of the field, and Maryland does a great job at defending them. See these defenders? They're all sinking, and they're trying to get depth with this route concept that Michigan is running. So guess what? Check the ball down. Immediately, Blake Corum's wide open. Give him the ball right now and make it a 3rd and 4. You can't do this, though. You can't spin, hold, and try to create something that's not there. He ends up almost fumbling that ball. They would end up missing the ensuing field goal after he fumbled that. They lost a bunch of field position. So these are things that he's got to do really well this week. If you're going to beat Ohio State and there's a big play that appears, you take it. If it's third down and number one is open and he can give you the first down, that ball better be on his chest right now. Okay, you got to be ready to go number one. Number two, the ball's got to be ready to come out. And if they take everything away, you cannot sit there and dance around, not with JT Tuimoloau running around. That check down's got to get the ball immediately. Okay, that's offense. By the way, McCarthy can do that, right? And he's just got to go out there and play with urgent feet. Sense of urgency. Let's take a look at the defense. I've talked a lot about how this defense is constructed, and I love its architecture. Let me show you the architecture really quickly. Okay, so on base down, if you're going to play a normal personnel group, this is 2 tight ends and 1 back. They're going to have 3 down linemen, 2 stand-up edge defenders, 2 linebackers, and 4 defensive backs. Okay, so they're going to try to build a run wall with these 3, have hard edges with the stand-up defenders, and then hybrid-style players behind them, and that's how they're able to go and stop the run. Now, if you change the personnel group, this is how they're going to adjust. They're going to move towards, rather than a 3-4, if you will, they're going to move to a 4-2-5. Okay, so this is how that's built. If you change the personnel group and start to spread it out 11 personnel, 1 tight end, 1 back, you're only going to get 2 defensive linemen. Now that's your run wall. You're still going to have the stand-up guys. They're still your hard edges. You got 2 linebackers and then 5 defensive backs around it. So that's how they adjust. And then the key is a guy like Mike Sainristil still up at the top of your screen. He can get in there and really get it done. But it's incumbent on those front 7 players to stop the run. If you can stop the run by maintaining that coverage shell, then it's hugely advantageous to you as a defense. That's why it's so important that that defensive front 7 plays really well. Next snap. What you're going to see is their ability to confuse the quarterback and try to get him into a panicked situation. They're showing that they've got 7 guys coming on the blitz. They're going to confuse the 6 guys in protection there, in particular those 5 offensive linemen. How? Well, they're going to show that they're blitzing 7, but they actually drop 2 guys out. The offensive line does not recognize that. They don't pick it up. And because of that, there's a free rusher right in the face of Sean Clifford. So that's how you try to get your free rusher right in the face of the quarterback and not just coming off the edge. They did not slide the protection. They did not adjust. And because of that, you're able to get an easy incompletion and maybe get off the field. That's how Michigan's defense is built. Remember, the 3 keys for Michigan. If you're going to beat Ohio State, you've got to run the ball well. You got to outrush them. You got to limit explosive plays and tackle well. You got to keep them under 7.5 yards per play. And then lastly, you got to force them to kick field goals in the red zone. The 3 teams that held them under 66% touchdown percentage in the red zone last year, had a chance to win the game. 2 of them ended up winning that game. That's the game, folks. 11-0 against 11-0, and I can't wait. I think it's going to be phenomenal, and I can't wait. When we come back here on this program, though, on a beautiful Thanksgiving week, we're going to have a little Klattback. So that's coming straight up on Breaking the Huddle. All right, let's get to a little Klattback here and go out and look what's happening online, which is always fun. Even on the Thanksgiving week, we're going to do it. So let's check it out. Right here, BJG says, so because the rankings by the committee don't line up with what you think or what you want, you think it's a failed experiment. That's pretty rich. Well, actually, Broseph, it's me and any other analyst that is not shilling for the SEC. We all pretty much have this same opinion, including the BCS ranking systems. If you've seen those examples, the BCS would also have USC over LSU, and the BCS ranking systems have thousands of computerized inputs. So, you do you, and happy Thanksgiving. That's going to do it for Breaking the Huddle today. I'm Joel Klatt. Remember, Saturday, it is the game, Michigan and Ohio State. That's at noon Eastern. Pre-game Big Noon Kickoff starts at 9 a.m. Eastern. That's a full 3-hour pregame show. That's coming up on Saturday. Gus and I are so excited to call that game. This show, as always, is brought to you by Dr. Pepper. It is the one fans deserve. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.